And welcome everyone to Bundaberg Run Stadium in Cairns. First time the NRL have brought a game to far north Queensland. It's the battle tonight of the home side, the North Queensland Cowboys, and they're up against the Penrith Panthers. Having a look at the two sides, first of all, the home side, North Queensland, and one late change in their team. Brett Hetherington is out with an ankle injury. His place has been taken by Peter Jones, who'll be playing in 16, and Shane Mustpratt in 18 is the new player on the interchange bench, coached by Tim Sheens. The Penrith Panthers side, the only changes on the interchange bench, Matthew Reek drops out of the squad and Justin Holbrook will be playing in jersey 18. The Panthers are coached by Royce Simmons. Central referee for tonight is Steve Clark. Touch judges are Alan Foster and Darren Gosher, and Peter Filmer is the video referee. So Ryan Girdler getting play underway. There's a gentle breeze. It's still quite warm, but with the 8:30 start local time, not the humidity that you sometimes experience here in Cairns, and just a gentle breeze which is coming down the ground. It will be behind Penrith in the first half.
Can I say that, Macca, both of these sides will be looking to get off to a very consistent start. They look to play their sets of 5 out and get a long kick in. Both of them won't want to make a mistake. The first one that makes a mistake may pay even this early in the match.
Glenn Morrison put to ground just 25 metres out from his own line. The kick being put downfield by Nathan Feed and will find touch just inside Penrith territory. Tim Sheens, the coach of the North Queensland Cowboys. A coach who says that if his side doesn't perform this season, this will definitely be his last season as coaching the team. So they're old mates, the two coaches tonight, but both of them pretty much under pressure. Winning percentage through his career of just over 52%. So Steve Carter, his first touch of the ball, the player who'll very much lead Penrith around this paddock tonight here in Cairns.
Get up, Julian O'Neill.
First penalty, Julian O'Neill just holding down in the tackle. So this allows Penrith to put the pressure on from just near halfway. Is where Matthew Rodwell will kick for touch out towards the eastern side. Rodwell again. Looks for the runner coming straight through in Domick, and he's tapped. Rodwell, Greenhill, had Pulatua coming just off his hip. Couldn't get through, had to take the tackle of Glenn Morrison. Carter again. Wide to Reece Wesser. Wesser immediately taken. Good ball and all tackle by Julian O'Neill on tackle number 3. So 35 metres out. Good defence by Jamie McDonald. Craig Gower has a skirt from dummy half. Then away to Reece Wesser. Wesser getting into space. He's confronted by Lees, but gets the ball down. Gets the ball down, Reece Wesser. A fair try. And he's just knocking up scoring tries this season, Reece Wesser. It was just a simple break, and he was able to get past his opposite number in Trent Lees and score a simple try.
When it came about on the blind side, Craig Gower running out of dummy half. A couple of defenders drawn in. Julian O'Neill was the man that really came in. Didn't really have to come in all that far. And a strange finish to it. Russell finished a couple of centimetres short, but got there.
Well, this is the first break in the match. There's been no other break. Reece Wesser just runs into space. There's just no numbers there. He's a fairly cocky sort of guy. He takes the fullback on. I mean, he had a player outside him, but gee, that opened up Wally like I've never seen it open up before. This is only the 3rd minute of play, and already there is a try on the board.
Well, I mentioned before the match that Julian O'Neill was going to be one of the most important things, or important weapons for the Cowboys. Unfortunately, he's got them off to a bad start. Of course, he was the man that gave away the penalty. Just moments later, he's been drawn away from the man he should have been marking. And Girdler came racing in and left a hole. Far too big for Reece Wesser to ever get stopped.
Ryan Girdler's kick. Struck it fairly well, but just pushed it across the face of goal. So 4 points to 0 it is. Great start for the Penrith Panthers, and for their fullback, Reece Wesser, just into 4 minutes into the 4th fixture game of the season, and try number 5 for the Penrith fullback, Reece Wesser.
The Cowboys, I'm sure, are really going to have to look after Craig Gower's darts from dummy half. Of course, he's been successful at all levels interstate, international. He's done the lot, so they're going to have to give him that respect. So the defenders are going to have to come up. There's got to be a lot of nominating going on. Communication has got to be at the top of the list of priorities for the Cowboys.
Well, the first thing I think the Cowboys have got to do, well, they've got to force a mistake. The Panthers forced a mistake, a short kick they got on the 50-metre line. This is what the Cowboys have to do in return. They've got to force a mistake. They've got to get possession inside the Panthers' half.
John Cross, 35 metres out from his own line. Greenhill to play it. On the 40, on tackle number 4, Craig Gower thought about going from dummy half. Able to pick up Scott Sattler. Here's the last coming up. And the advantage of having a player who can kick well out of dummy half, and Craig Gower is one of the best in the business. And isn't that an easy way to pick up the best part of 45 metres?
Yeah, just did it very well. Timed his kick to perfection. Put it perfectly. Didn't have to kick the ball all that hard. Penrith are running with the assistance of what breeze there is here at Bundaberg Rum Stadium this evening. It's starting to pick up throughout the course of the evening. Saw just how much it restricted the Cowboys' first kick of the game to around about 20 metres, 25 metres.
So scrum win to North Queensland. Lee Odenryan tackled just 12 metres out from his own line. Nathan Feen, bit of a scramble there, bit of a mix-up as to who was going to go into dummy half. Normally it would be Adam Nabel, but Nathan Feen rushed in to get into the dummy half position. Just outside their own 20, the Cowboys. Here's Peter Jones. Into the side as a late replacement in the starting side for Brett Hetherington. Did an ankle at training yesterday. Jamie McDonald to play it. 5 inside his own half. This time Nabel is the dummy half, and Nathan Feen kicks. So the kick going to be fielded by Penrith. Chris Hicks to play it. On his own 30. Penrith leading by 4 points to 0. Reece Wesser. Very flat pass. On to Sid Domick. 10 on their own side of halfway. Penrith went backwards, dropped by Carter. The crowd screaming for a knock on, but it had gone backwards. Picked up by Ryan Girdler, who immediately was tackled by Paul Bowman. Last tackle now coming up for the Panthers. 5 inside their own territory. Back to Rodwell. Rodwell's kick. Looking for the 40-20. He was inside the 40. Lee Odenryan elects to have just a dart out of dummy half and is tackled. So taking just a little while to settle into this game. That's Taron Bradford making his debut tonight in number 5. Oh, and here's a mistake. Mistake being made by Nathan Feen. Just getting a tap on the back from his teammates to say, don't worry about it, mate. But that's the sort of thing that really does put pressure on a side. And they do have 2 players on debut. Taron Bradford on the wing, only 20 years of age, and the 5'8" Chris Shepherd, only 19, in fact turns 20 later next week. David Woods. 35 metres out from scoring. Played back by Greenhill. In the hands of Rodwell. Then to Sattler. Taken front on by Glenn Morrison. Steve Carter gives his pass away to Rodwell. Then to Domick. Just getting out on the fringe of the ruck. Rodwell again. Quick hands, through cross, then to Wesser. Last tackle coming up. Gower sets himself, putting the kick wide across field into the in-goal area and dropped. Gone dead, so it'll come back out to the 20 for the restart by North Queensland. But they just need to settle down now, the Cowboys. They've had an early try scored against them. When they have had possession, they've dropped the ball inside their own territory. Just making a rod for their own back so far. What they do need is a good set of 6. Taron Bradford One of those youngsters on debut playing the ball. Here's Buttigieg. And that's what they need. A fellow like Buttigieg just to run it hard and straight and make some of those tough yards. Just short of halfway. Chris Shepherd, the other debutant, playing at 5'8". Fiend. Waiting for it is Reece Wesser. It won't go that far to Wesser. Knocked back by the Cowboys. McDonald got it back to Buttigieg. Has Morrison on his outside. Glenn Morrison tries to take them on himself. Inside to Taron Bradford. Tackle on the last, and that'll be the changeover.
John.
The Panthers get the ball 12 metres out from their own line. Robbie Beckett. Greenhill. Trying to struggle free of the tackle of McDonald. Well, the possession pretty much says it. 66 versus 34%. And the Cowboys, when they have had the ball, have put it down a couple of times. And this doesn't help them either. Penalty goes Penrith's way for being offside.
Well, he must have been standing just off centre, because he was certainly back far enough. Referee Stephen Clark was close enough to adjudicate. Didn't like Buttigieg's assessment of his ruling, and really it's taken 30 metres off the Cowboys' defensive line and made them defend once again under pressure.
Sid Domick takes it to 8 metres out from the North Queensland line. They lead by 4-0. Here's Craig Gower out of dummy half, and he's through. Has got the ball down only a centimetre out from the line. Plays it on number 3 through the legs of Carter. Reece Wesser knocked it backwards again. The crowd wanted to knock on. Referee Steve Clark said it went backwards. Domick this time is the acting halfback. They're on the rack at the moment, North Queensland. John Cross to play it. 12 metres out. Last tackle coming up now for the Panthers. On the short side once more, Gower. The kick has gone backwards. Still on the last, not played it intentionally. A changeover to North Queensland.
You look at the North Queensland Cowboys, they've got a bit of urgency back in their play. They didn't have it to begin with. They've now starved off 2 sets of 6 without any drama, and they've held their line very well. That's the sort of thing they need to boost their confidence, and a penalty won't harm their chances either.
And a badly needed one for the Cowboys. The only problem has been getting away from their own end of the field. They look to be quite promising at the other end. Russell just mentioned the desperation that they're now showing close to their own line. This will give them the opportunity to launch a raid.
So the penalty count at the moment, 3-1 in favour of the Panthers. Now can North Queensland capitalise on their first penalty of the game? Jamie McDonald knocked to ground. Good hard tackle by Frank Pulatua. Here's Buttigieg. Pulatua goes in to make another tackle. Spun by Shepherd, back to the short side. Nathan Fiend's pass, knocked to ground, picked up by North Queensland. Referee will play the double knock on.
He's going to say, I think that Penrith will feed the scrum. There's the original one. It was just propelled forward. Of course, the ball then coming off John Cross. So a wasted opportunity for North Queensland, and they're the ones that they can't afford to get rid of, particularly as they haven't spent too much in their own, they haven't spent too much time up this end of the field. Just not able to match the Panthers as well. You can just see how safe that they've approached to the opening stanza of this game.
Craig Greenhill, a pass that went forward. Referee Steve Clark just getting the call from his touch judge that pass had gone forward. So this scrum to be fed by Nathan Fiend.
Gee, what about the rule on that? That was a line ball. There was a line there that went straight across level with that line. Tough call.
Yeah, it certainly was from the touch judge. We saw Steve Clark was nowhere near the line to see that and got the call from his touchy. So North Queensland, their best attacking option, 25 metres out. Make that 10 metres from the line. Morrison runs in to be the dummy half, then away to Feen, in behind the line to pick up Shepherd, wide to Julian O'Neill, knocked on. Knocked on by O'Neill. He could see that Steve Carter was coming at him. Just took his eyes off the ball, O'Neill.
And I bet Coach Tim Sheens is wishing at the moment that I didn't say anything about how valuable O'Neill could be to the Cowboys prospects out there this evening.
Hang on, fellas. Get him in. Right out, Matt, when you're ready. Keep it in, Glenn. Keep it in.
Penrith ball.
Up.
And they're 21 metres out from their own line, leading by 4 points to 0, the Penrith Panthers.
The flop. Number 9.
Adam Nabel just flopping into that tackle. Ruled Stephen Clark, the tackle on Ryan Girdler.
Gee, there's a lot of cheap yards for this Panthers side out of dummy half, and I think they've started to see. We saw Gower go early. Now they're getting their quick men in there, looking for this extra bit of space. They need to get their ruck defence in order, the Cowboys.
Greenhill takes the first hit up. Pulatua lines himself up to take the second. Another good hard run by Frank Pulatua. Gower skirts from dummy half, picks up Ryan Girdler, then to Carter. Carter put to ground, 31 metres out from the line by Bowman. Sattler runs it straight at Jamie McDonald, does well to unload. It comes through Gower, then away through Carter. Carter's pass to Beckett, kept alive. Back on the inside to Girdler. Craig Gower, tough tackle. Buttigieg and Jones going in to make the tackle on Gower. But they're up inside the 20. On the last, Rodwell puts in the kick, which is floating across field. Hicks couldn't take it, loose on the ground. The Cowboys come up with it. So it'll be a Cowboys ball, and Chris Shepherd will play it 12 metres out from his own line.
And I've got to pay a lot of credit there to Nabel, Adam Nabel. He was the man that chased out of dummy half to put enormous pressure on Rodwell, who's got one of the best boots in the game. Not too often you see him muck up kicks from that distance.
Ooh, Buttigieg gave a short pass. It was a hospital pass to Peter Jones, and the moment he got it, he was just thumped by Greenhill and Gower. And a penalty. It's against the side in attack.
Adam Nabel ducking in behind. Really, I believe in that case, you've got to say that the blame has got to stay with Glenn Morrison. He's the one that didn't time his run onto the ball from dummy half, and it's been a horror start for the Cowboys in trying to transfer the football away from their own line. They haven't been able to control possession in their hands. They're simply giving away penalties, which has restricted the opportunities that they've had at the other end of the football field.
So Glenn Morrison running a Shepherd and gives away the penalty, which allows Ryan Girdler the shot. Well, there's Penrith's completions, and isn't that a big difference, which would be pleasing the coach Roy Simmons. 93% completion rate so far tonight, as opposed to a 63% average so far this season. Doesn't take much time about lining the keep up. Ryan Girdler strikes it well. Flags are in the air, and so the Panthers go to a lead of 6 points to 0 here at Bundaberg Rum Stadium in Cairns. The Panthers 6 and the Cowboys 0.
Well, despite their dominance, Penrith will probably be feeling a little bit uncomfortable that they're only 6 points in front. North Queensland have probably been reminding each other that, hey, we're no worse off than we are probably 10 minutes ago when that first try was scored against us. Deficit just 6. It's important now that we go, and as Russell Fairfax mentioned before, they've got to go hunting from the marker, trying to force errors from those short passes.
Domick. Head down and run straight at Adam Nabel. It's put over with the aid of Mark Shipley. Another hard run by Craig Greenhill. Gower. He's so dangerous, Craig Gower. He can just get those easy metres out of dummy half, and then has the defence in two minds as to whether he's going to kick, whether he's going to pass, whether he's going to keep running. This man's having a great game. Pulatua does well to get his pass away to the ever-present Craig Gower. What a good set this has been. They brought it from their own line on the kick-off, and they're now on the last, and this kick is going to find touch In fact, it won't. It'll go into the in goal. It did.
Drink break, boys. It's a drink break.
Now
And we're going to the line dropout.
it'll be a line dropout. They are going to take a drink break, of course, because of the heat factor. But what a good set of 6. From the kick return, Pulatua took it behind his own line, and eventually that ball, the fullback, Trent Lease putting his foot on the touch-in goal line, so they get a line dropout. And they're probably lucky, both of these sides, that it can be just so hot and humid in Cairns. But as far as early autumn is concerned, weather doesn't get much better than it is tonight. Very pleasant night indeed, even though it is still warm, of course, but it can be a lot worse, let me tell you. So Penrith, after the dropout restart, a couple of changes made, and here's Lee Hopkins running it straight. Back it comes to Craig Gower, almost through. Morrison realised that it was a tackle that simply had to be made on Gower. Jody Gall, using all of his bulk, of course a player who did have a season with the North Queensland Cowboys, Jody Gall, before going back to his old club Penrith. Cross, getting it across field to Rodwell, then to Carter, inside to Ryan Girdler. Here's trouble. Girdler heads for the post and through to score. Simply worked. Rodwell and Carter, and he knew that Girdler would be coming back on the angle on the inside, and Ryan Girdler goes through and scores underneath the post. 10-0, kick the count.
Well, it was quite obvious from the time the ball left the ruck. A set play was on, and they've been working them very well. We mentioned them prior to the match beginning. Just have a look at the way that they execute this play. Very clever. Rodwell turning around, and it's the position and timing of when they've been running their angles that's been outstanding. A little bit of a slip, costly to Jamie McDonald, is what has opened up the gap for Girdler. And a player of test experience doesn't need opportunities like that given on a plate to him, Russell.
Well, the defence moved up really quick out wide. Girdler had no other option but to come back in. The inside man must cover the inside pass. The Cowboys fell asleep, and Girdler said, thank you very much for 4 points.
Then again, it goes back to that set of 6 after that penalty goal where they bought it from inside their own line, and the big fellas like Pulatua and Greenhill making the tough yards, got a goal line dropout, and then put a try on the end of it to this man, Ryan Girdler. He made it easy for himself, scoring underneath the post. Girdler adds the extras, and the Panthers are looking good, leading the Cowboys here in Cairns by 12 points to 0. I'm sure Roy Simmons has had plenty to say this week to the side after last week's, in fact the first 3 rounds, but particularly last week's performance when they let in so many points early on, then in fact hit the lead against the Eagles before surrendering late in the game. But he'd be pretty pleased with the way the side has started tonight. Reece Wesser brings it back to 15 metres out from his own line. Here is Pulatua as the Cowboys give John Buttigieg a rest, and Robert Ralph comes on to take his place. He'll be wearing jersey number 17.
Roy Simmons happy. I think he'll be delighted. I think almost been a perfect first 20 minutes of football for this Panthers outfit. There's been basically no drop balls. They've hit the game line, and they're gaining confidence every time they run this football. They've got support players going with them, which is something the Cowboys don't have at this stage.
Jody Gall looking to get involved early on. Back to Matthew Rodwell on the last. High kick with the breeze behind him from Rodwell. In fact, it might end up being a very good kick. It is into the in-goal area where it was taken by Taron Bradford. And the chase was good by Steve Carter. Here's Lease. 15 out from his own line. Odin Ryan comes off the left wing to take one of the hit-ups. So they're outside their own 20.
Get up, Ryan, all the way.
McDonald. And loses the ball, Jamie McDonald, but gets a penalty.
Well, even though he got a penalty there, gee, they're predictable right now, the Cowboys. They either took it one pass off the ruck, or they went from dummy half. So we take a look at this again, and definitely got a hand in there. There's no doubt about that. But they're so predictable that the Panthers' defence is reading them very, very easily.
So the penalty for reefing the ball out. And the kick-finding touch for the Cowboys. Just 20 metres out from the Penrith line. Naval taking the tap, looking for the runner, and it's Peter Jones. Ralph goes straight ahead at Craig Gower, 5 metres out from Naval. Then away to Fiend. Wide pass goes to Shepherd. Again trying to keep the ball wide. The Cowboys only 5 metres from the line. Played by Morrison. Swung back across field for Strickland. Daniel Strickland 3 metres out. Once more swinging it wide to Nathan Fiend, but Fiend runs into traffic. Slung to ground by Jody Gore. Shepherd. He'll roll the ball into the in goal. Loose on the ground. Few players diving for it. This will go to the video referee. Paul Bowman could well be the player underneath the ball. That
Rebounded off Bruce Wester, the Penrith fullback's legs. And then it's ricocheted a couple of times. I don't know if it came off a Cowboy hand. He certainly forced it a lot. There might have been knocked on beforehand.
right, well, that's what Peter Filmer, the video referee, is going to decide. Oh, it's Robert Ralph, the player, in fact, who's dived underneath all of that. Bowman was there, he couldn't get back to it. Ralph's come from behind, and if there's no knock-ons, it'll be Robert Ralph who'll be credited with the try. Here's the decision, and try it is from Peter Filmer, the video referee. Well, a few players putting their hands up for it. Young Taron Bradford, the number 5, put his hand up. But Robert Ralph was the player who did get his hand down to score the try. The crowd tells the story. Julian O'Neill converts the try. And even though the Penrith Panthers really have dominated this game for the 26 minutes so far, the Cowboys can probably take some heart from it by saying, well, we might have been outplayed, but we're still only a converted try behind after all of that. 12-6 it is in favour of the Panthers.
What's the hang time on this? Have you seen the kicking tee that Ryan Girdler uses?
Girdler, and puts it incredibly high. That'll just about, oh, in fact, too high. Watch the height on this. He's put it dead. That's a penalty back at halfway.
Actually, John, I was a bit surprised that the first kick that Girdler took, it landed only 2 metres inside the dead ball line. There'll probably be a couple of the Penrith players asking if the tape measure has been brought out here. The field's been measured correctly, but he is a wonderful kicker of the football. Smashed that one over, and of course we did mention before that they have the benefit of the breeze, which looks like it's increasing the whole time here throughout the course of the first half. Cowboys now, they're full of confidence and opportunity to attack 20 metres from the line.
Ryan Girdler will blame you for that, Russell Fairfax. Say, watch how high this goes. High, all right, over the dead ball line. 12-6 it is in favour of the Penrith Panthers. Here comes O'Neill. Pass went in behind Peter Jones. It's gone behind everyone and over the touchline. So their chance to try and get a try back on the board and equalise comes to naught. You would think that was intended for Peter Jones, who is a good ball runner, but he wasn't expecting it. He thought it was just going to be a face ball and didn't even put a hand out to try and get it, Peter Jones. Over the touchline it goes from O'Neill. 12 points to 6. Penrith lead North Queensland in Cairns. All of the NRL, you're seeing it all on Fox Sports. David Woods on the second tackle to play it. Pulatua. Fearsome sight running at you, Frank Pulatua, but he is having a very good game tonight. Jody Gall coming from deep, and he's such a rangy player, Jody Gall. When he gets those arms free, he's a very tough man to stop. Pulatua again. His workload must be enormous tonight, Pulatua. The heat certainly not affecting him. Here's Steve Carter. Carter's kick. Fielded by Trent Lease, just out from his own line. Missed by Rodwell, caught in the second line of defence by Scott Sattler, and hurt. Fell awkwardly into that tackle, Trent Lease. just obviously getting that leg just caught underneath in the tackle of Sattler, and in terrific pain. Trent Lease, who's playing his first season with the Cowboys, having come from the Redcliffe club in the Queensland Bundy-Gull Cup competition. The son of a former Queensland player in the pre-State of Origin days, Peter Lease. Lease in back play tried to just jog that ankle problem out. He's still on the field, in fact. And Brian Hyder still attending to him in back play. He hopes to stay on, Lease, as Adam Nabel just short of their own 30. 5 tackles gone now for the Cowboys. And lost on the last. That's the changeover, and that's just what Penrith needed. Another handling mistake by Nathan Feen, who's not having a happy night. Second ball he's put to ground. Second ball he should have taken too. But now the pressure really on, and a great chance for the Panthers. Gall running it hard and turning, looking to pick up Robbie Beckett. Couldn't get the pass to him, but a quick play the ball. It goes through Cross and then away to Rodwell and on to Carter. Carter turning his pass back on the inside. Woods turns it back to Girdler. Girdler throws a pass for Reece Wesser. He couldn't pick it up. They're still going for the line. And referee Steve Clark is going to call for the video referee to see, in fact, whether there has been a knock on. Still may well be a try.
I think he's looking for about 2 or 3 things here. Well, just saying he's after the knock on, he'll probably find it difficult because of referee. Of course, the video touch judge can no longer rule on a forward pass. Carter holding the ball up. Terrific acceleration from Woods. He really took off. Girdler's support on the inside. There it was, tipped around. Now he's got to adjudicate whether that ball was knocked forward. Of course, the hard part is that it looked to go backwards, but did it travel forward in any direction before it made contact with his foot? I don't think it did. I think it's still going to be a 4-pointer.
Peter Filmer, the referee, to make the decision.
You've got
and try it is. Well, the North Queensland players don't agree. And Steve Clark, the referee, now trying to explain to them exactly what the ruling is. Let's see it again.
Yeah, once again, Penrith, though, they really do communicate well. Carter was a set play. I don't think it quite worked as well as they wanted, but Wood's acceleration was terrific. He just found it too good for Strickland's defence. Very confusing. I must agree with Russell there to try and work out why Carter decided to pass the ball. Perhaps he thought he was a little bit further away from the line, or maybe even thought O'Neill was a chance of stopping him, holding him back. Second try for the season for Chris Hicks.
Well, the video referee, Peter Filmer, is obviously saying that, one, it didn't touch Reece Wesser's hands, it's just actually come off his foot, or if it did touch his hand and went to ground, it hasn't gone forward. Ryan Girdler converts. Handy lead now for the Panthers. Controversial try, but the Penrith Panthers lead North Queensland by 18 points to 6. And Chris Hicks, the Johnny on the spot to come in and able to clean up that loose ball and touchdown unhindered. So 18-6 it is in favour of the Penrith Panthers, and we're 7.5 minutes away from halftime. So back for the restart. And Scott Sattler. Hard run by Sattler. Greenhill tried to shed away from the Morrison tackle, and Gower, the little will-o-wisp Craig Gower, runs out of dummy half, an easy 10 metres. Carter will do the same thing. Away he goes across field, had Woods coming at the angle. So the Panthers on a roll, coming towards the break. 5 tackles gone. And Gower again, the ability to kick out of dummy half and send Julian O'Neill on a back pedal. Brings it out to his own 20. That's where Gall makes the tackle on. Odenryan. Away from dummy half, Lee Odenryan. Solid tackle by Greenhill. Shipway. Nabel onto Ralph. As John Buttigieg comes back to the sideline. Glenn Morrison. That's the halfway mark in screen, and they're on the last tackle now, the Cowboys. O'Neill stands deep and kicks for Reece Wesser, who positions himself well, the Panthers fullback. Good kick return by Wesser, and does well. Gets his pass back across field. It comes through Woods, then back on the outside once more. Hicks to play the ball. Just inside their own territory. Gower, in fact, gets over the halfway mark. Rodwell from dummy half. Ill-directed pass. Was cleaned up, though, by Lee Hopkins. Gore. As Buttigieg comes back on and Mark Shipway given a breather for the Cowboys. But it's the Panthers on the attack at the moment. Ball lost. Played on the zero tackle. Morrison puts his head down and tries to just burrow past Ryan Girdler. Into Panthers territory by a few metres. Fiend shows it and then runs. Got under a tackle that was a little high from Scott Sattler. O'Neill. Four tackles gone. 25 metres out from the line. Back to Fiend. Fiend putting in the high kick. Came off the arms of Lee Hopkins. Went backwards and then was taken by John Cross. And Cross will play it 15 from his own line.
John, there's one major difference between the two teams, besides Reece Wesser's clever running. Oh, he's just gone into touch. That wasn't what the Panthers needed. Just over 5 minutes out from the break. It's given North Queensland another opportunity. I'm going to say the amount of times that they're running from dummy half, every time Gower runs from dummy half, we just see his foot grab a little bit of the dust on the sideline. Every time Gower runs from dummy half, he really is complemented by 2 or 3 support runners that go with him, and they angle into the holes. Whenever the Cowboys are running from dummy half, it's basically look after yourself, try and grab what meters you can.
Inside the last 5 minutes of the first half as Julian O'Neill cuts through. Ryan Girdler, though, chased him and pulled him to ground. Quick play the ball to Paul Bowman. Bowman looking for the runners. They're only 5 metres out from the line. Played back to O'Neill, then spun across field to Fiend. On the inside, the pass comes to Glenn Morrison. Jones runs in to be the dummy half. Then away to Fiend. On to Buttigieg coming straight. Good defence, though, by John Cross. To the left-hand side, Jones. Bowman held on to 3 metres out. Now back to Fiend. Nathan Fiend looked to put the ball into the in goal, but Reece Wesser was there to dive on it quickly. Chris Hicks loses the ball and judged to have lost it of his own accord, not ripped out. So this scrum 10 metres from the line with the Cowboys feed.
Hey. Let's cool it, both of you, right? Let's cool it. Both of you cool it.
So Dean to have been lost by Chris Hicks. So the Cowboys, they've been outplayed in the first half, but they would dearly love to have another try on the board before half-time and keep themselves in the game. Here's Josh Hannay.
Up, John Cross.
Morrison. His pass has gone to ground. Dived on by Lee Hopkins. No knock on, as you heard Steve Clark say, wasn't played at and therefore not a knock on. Wesser. No support running with Reece Wesser. So the interchanges. Both have only used 4 so far in the first half, knowing that in the second half the humidity in North Queensland really does start to take its toll, and they want as many changes left as possible. This ball going backwards. Lee Hopkins goes back for it. Wasn't touched by North Queensland, so they're now on the last tackle. And Craig Gower, a rare mistake by one of the best dummy halves in the business, Craig Gower. You won't see him do that many times in the season. The changeover on the last, and a Cowboys ball, and they're 8 metres inside the Panthers half. Offside. Offside at the play the ball, going too early. Craig Greenhill. Now what do the Cowboys do? They've got a penalty, 30 metres out.
What the Cowboys are going to do, what they haven't been doing, all of their players have done way behind the line, and the Panthers' defence concede these. They need to get their attack to be more critical, to make the defence of the Panthers really work hard. They're not, they can see everything that's coming towards them.
Bowman loses the ball, Paul Bowman, or did he? Yes, he did. Knock on. Knocked on Paul Bowman on the first tackle by the Cowboys captain. A dejected Paul Bowman gets to his feet.
That's fine, mate. No dramas. I'm going to try and hold it.
Tackle with Justin Holbrook, who's just come onto the field for the Panthers, coming over the top to force that error.
Exactly right. That's why I'm getting to put it in. Don't worry. Got to come right at the back. Right out the... Come on. Let's get it up. Get it up. Come on, look. Let's get it in and let's get it formed properly. Hold it steady. Steady.
So now Matthew Rodwell hopefully has a tunnel to feed into. Well,
come on, fellas. This is under 7 stuff. Let's get it in and get it out. It's got to come out the back. It's got to come out the back.
never seen a scrum take this long to feed in rugby league for years. This time they get it in and out. So a Panthers ball as we come towards the last 30 seconds of the first half. Holbrook. Tackle by Daniel Strickland. David Woods just goes for a scamper to run the clock down towards the break. Gower looks for a runner.
Well, I wonder if we'll see Rodwell have his long-range shot as they go the blind side.
Kicked ahead for Beckett to chase. Won't be able to get to it. Julian O'Neill coming across as the last line of defence to take the ball. And O'Neill is tackled, and that takes us to half-time. So half-time here at the Bundaberg Rum Stadium in Cairns. And at the break, it's the Penrith Panthers leading North Queensland by 18 points to 6.
O'Neill starting play in the second half. Interesting to see that Steve Carter, the Penrith Panthers captain, is on the bench after the halftime break.
I must say, Wally, just watching Steve when he walked out pretty gingerly out with the Penrith trainer. So he will start from the bench in the second half, Steve Carter, the Panthers captain. 18 points to 6 it is in favour of Penrith. Sattler going into to be the first receiver getting the pass off Craig Gower. Given back by Lee Hopkins. And the ball going to be put to ground. Ball lost by Penrith, and John Cross stays down on the ground for a while, as much as to say, damn it, I should have taken that ball. But this will be a scrum feed to the North Queensland Cowboys with Nathan Feen to work this scrum, which is 41 metres out. Trent Lease off, and Shepherd is the player, is back on. Though Trent Lease, player who went off just before the break. And another knock-on coming by North Queensland.
Well, Russell, I've got to say, I thought the Cowboys were a little bit unlucky there. The referee called the marker to stay out of it, He went into the tackle, and and simply let it go. But once again, simple handling errors. Just too much for the Cowboys, and whilst we're being critical of the handling itself, the pass certainly didn't help. Put him under enormous pressure.
So a knock on both sides to start the second half, and now it's Penrith who are back in possession. And 40 out from their own line as Reece Wesser runs up to be the acting halfback, and he'll have a sprint away from that position. Run straight at Chris Shepherd.
We were mentioning, of course, before the game, Roy Simmons said in his interview what a deficit the Panthers have been facing in the tackles. They're way in front in this game. They've only had to make 88. The Cowboys 115, so that would be pleasing him. Their ball control far superior to their opponents.
And Craig Gower being just given a little bit of latitude around that marker area, and if you give him any latitude whatsoever, he's going to make you pay for it. So the Cowboys pin back down into their own area. In fact, only a couple of metres out from their own line, and here's Lee Odenryan. Runs it a few metres, taken in a good low diving tackle by Lee Hopkins. So 4 tackles, and they're only 8 metres out. A few of their players just pretty slow to get back, the Cowboys. That's 5 tackles, still only 15 metres from their own line where they'll be forced to kick. And Julian O'Neill driving it downfield, looking to get it away from Reece Wesser.
I can't say no.
Wesser runs it back. Bowman leads the chase and makes the tackle. Woods. Now to Greenhill. Craig Greenhill reaches halfway on tackle number 3 to be put to ground by Buttigieg. Rodwell reverses play. Again, John Cross can't pick up the ball. Second time that he's knocked on, although he could hardly be blamed for that. A pass that he had to scramble to pick up, but not the start to the second half that John Cross would have wanted.
Yeah, and a little bit unusual. Russell, we've seen Penrith throughout the course of the first 40-minute period. Just about every set play they put on, it was to perfection. Players were in exactly the right spot. The passes were in front of the man, allowing him to run on the ball. They've run 3 in the second half. They've got none of them right.
Yeah, right, Wally. They seem to be rushing their play early in this second half. There's no time taken. It's just rush. And in the first 40 minutes, they look to build for sets of 6, numerous sets of 6 to put something on. They look like they're trying to score in a set of 6.
Julian O'Neill thought he was able to get through a gap. It was Rodwell who closed it on him. Here's Odenryan. Runs from dummy half. He's 20 metres out from scoring Lee Odenryan, where he'll play the ball. Feen gets it across field to Morrison. Then it goes to Shepherd, just standing that little bit wider. Then the pass to Josh Hannay. Hannay will go for the score. But it was a well-worked try, with young Chris Shepherd able to get just out a little bit wider than he's been standing for normal. And Josh Hannay goes in to score in the corner. Hurt himself in the process of scoring. Maybe just a little bit of cramp for Josh Hannay, but 18-10 it is with a kick to come.
Oh, and what a wonderful try. The execution of it was terrific. Just have a look at the way that the ball went across. We were all sort of sitting there waiting for something to happen, and all of a sudden, Hannay hit the ball, got on the inside of Girdler, who didn't really know who he was going to take. The speed and precision, the way that he raced onto that ball was first class.
Yeah, it was a great play. They were very slow to move up that wide, especially Girdler. He found himself in no man's land. As he drifted across there, Josh Hannay came on a different angle. As he was drifting wide, Hannay came straight.
Julian O'Neill. He struck that well, O'Neill. That looks good off the boot. It's there. That is over by Julian O'Neill. 18-12 it is. So once more we have a ball game on our hands. And Roy Simmons would be saying to his side, what did you drink at half-time? You did everything right in the first half. You've come out to start the second half, and it's just been mistake after mistake. Excellent kick by Julian O'Neill.
I think Wally might have hit it on the head. Steve Carter isn't out there at the beginning of this second half. They don't have their skipper. Is that the problem?
Yeah, well, very good point. Steve Carter just sitting on the bench at the moment, watching proceedings. He is the player who does steer them around the paddock. No doubt at all about that, Russell and Wally. Good point. 18-12 in favour of the Panthers. Shepherd getting his pass. back on the inside. Played by Glenn Morrison.
I still think it's an area the Cowboys need to address. They've got to hit the ball at prime speed at the ruck. They're taking it 3 or 4 metres behind. There's a set of 6 they had. They made around about 20 metres in it.
Well, did you see that one? That pass went about 8 metres behind the play.
Steve Carter there, the captain, just viewing proceedings from the bench at the moment. As this kick goes deep, in fact too deep. Keeps on rolling with the breeze behind it. So back out to the 20 for the restart by Penrith. Scott Sattler. Bumped away from the first attempted tackle. That was by Daniel Strickland. Greenhill. Jody Gall. Working it up now towards halfway. Here's Lee Hopkins. Driven back in a solid tackle with Glenn Morrison leading the way. Gower running it out of dummy half once more, and the Panthers take it back inside North Queensland territory by just a couple of metres. Last tackle coming up. Kick by Rodwell. Fielded by Julian O'Neill. Chased by Hopkins, who grabs hold of him and puts O'Neill to ground. 25 out from the North Queensland line. Buttigieg through a half break. John Buttigieg didn't have anyone running off him though. Here goes Adam Nabel out of dummy half. Nabel able to unload his pass through Morrison. Quickly given away from Jones. Out wide then to Bradford. Loses the ball. Taron Bradford thought he could hear a support player coming on the inside. Not able to keep control of it, the youngster.
Yeah, it was a clever transfer, of course, across the face. Gordon Nabel was able to get it. Did pretty well to be able to do it, but that's what the Cowboys have got to be able to transfer the ball away from the point of the ruck. But they do need some support players angling back inside to take a little bit of the concentration of the defence away. Slide defence seems to be covering it fairly comfortably.
So a Panthers ball, 10 minutes into the second half here in Cairns. Penrith leading by 18 points to 12 over the Cowboys. Justin Holbrook playing it. Tough run by Craig Greenhill.
You ready, mate?
Up the centre comes Jody Gall. Couldn't get his pass away, Gall, but a quick play the ball on tackle number 4. Rodwell, then to Holbrook. Holbrook's kick sending Julian O'Neill back into the end goal, being chased by Ryan Girdler. Goes touch in goal.
Well, he's called it off the Cowboys, and I think that's the wrong call. The video replay will be able to tell a little bit better, but I thought it may have came off Ryan Girdler. The stacks on the mill. O'Neill was doing his best to get across.
So Steve Carter comes back on, having had a break, a long break, the half-time break, and then 10 minutes into the second half, Holbrook goes off, Carter back on. Goal line drop out after the Cowboys were deemed to have put that ball touch in goal. Here's Scott Sattler. Tough run by Sattler, second tackle, quick play the ball. Starting to get a roll on now as Craig Gower takes it up inside the 20. He's only 15 metres out from the line where he'll play it. Cross into acting halfback, then through Rodwell, wide pass to Carter. Tries to go himself, Steve Carter. Put to ground by Peter Jones. Again, going to the short side. Now cutting back in field goes Jody Gall and on to Reece Wesser. Wesser will go in and score.
Once again, a clever set play. Back on the inside. Terrific work. Jody Gall being able to stand in the tackle and get there. Stephen Clark said that he couldn't see whether there was contact made, whether the ball was correctly forced, because the goalpost pad was in the way. And I'll tell you, there's one player that's pretty happy the goalpost pad is that wide. That'd be Wesser himself. Straight into it, do your best, get out the way. I'm putting the ball down here. That's a certain try.
Reece Wesser took on the goalpost, was able to bump off it, then got away from Julian O'Neill, and he's feeling no pain, Reece Wesser. Try it is. He's had a hell of a game. Not only has he scored 2 tries, he's leading just about in their hit-ups. He's had 13 hit-ups for the night, Reece Wesser, and 2 tries from fullback. Here's Ryan Girdler from in front. Converted by Ryan Girdler. And the Panthers again put themselves out with a comfortable margin of 12 points, leading by 24-12 over the Cowboys.
Well, while you're mentioning it's a comfortable margin, John, I don't think they're going to start feeling comfortable until they've got another point on the board. Once they push it past the 2 converted try margin, I think that they would believe that mentally it would improve their performance a lot more, and just as importantly, deflate the Cowboys' confidence. They've got to get to that 13-point buffer. Certainly don't think they've given up scoring points yet.
Craig Greenhill on the kick return, gets out to his own 20. Sattler in traffic, Scott Sattler. Gower quickly out of dummy half. The marker defence was very slack, and away goes Gower, and does well to get it on to John Cross.
Well, they've only got their marker defence to blame, John. It's cost them dearly all night long. They're just not competing from there.
Hicks. 10 inside North Queensland territory. So once more a very good set of 6, bringing it out from their own line. And here goes Jody Gall again. Tackled on number 5. Last on its way. They go to Steve Carter on the short side, and he'll use the little grubber kick. Going back forward is Taron Bradford. And tackled just out from his own line.
He's struggling, Steve Carter. He's gone down again. Russell Fairfax mentioned just after half-time that it looked like he was a little bit wobbly with an injury. He's carrying it. He's struggling out there, and I think the only reason that we saw him go back onto the field so early was because that they were doing it pretty tough.
Well, play is getting up very close to where, in fact, Steve Carter is down on the ground. And with him still being there, well, there you can see Steve Carter in the background. Play goes on, but he really is struggling, the Penrith captain, as this kick is put down for Chris Hicks, and he takes it. Loses his footing just slightly, but able to run it back at the defensive line, and Shepherd makes the tackle on him. Carter is up in back play, just seeing the top of the shot there, but here goes Reece Wesser again. He's loving this, Reece Wesser. Tackled by Julian O'Neill, but they're up on the 20 once more, and quickly flung wide across field from Scott Sattler. That pass went forward. Forward pass from Sattler to Lee Hopkins. Steve Clark picked it up, but they are getting on a roll now, the Panthers.
And there'll be a number of the Cowboys players that'll be fairly happy that the decision was made for Sattler to throw a short pass. That was a metre forward. Almost could have been a penalty, because the Panthers had him outnumbered by about 5-3 out wide. Had it have been a face pass or a second man ball, it was almost a certainty that there were more points about to be posted.
And interesting, Wally, to see that Steve Carter really is struggling, and he stayed on the field, but he's just said to Beckett, to Robbie Beckett, just swap with me, let me go out in the wing. So there it was, a hit from John Buttigieg. Well, anyone who gets hit like that by John Buttigieg, no wonder you're down for a while. But he has been struggling. Obviously wasn't fully fit at the start of the second half, Steve Carter. He's come back in now to play at outside centre, but isn't well. Julian O'Neill with this penalty. And the penalty is 15 inside their own half for the Cowboys.
Well, if you're Cowboys and you want to get out of jail, you want to try and get some points on the board, what do? I'd be suggesting, if I was the captain out there for the Cowboys, I'd be aiming for Steve Carter. He's a bit dusty. I'll be sending the big men at him, and hopefully you've got to suck a couple of other guys in to create some space somewhere else.
He's come into play inside Ryan Girdler at the moment as Nathan Feen runs into Reece Wesser and is tackled. 20 metres up from scoring, the Cowboys. Nable gives it across field to Morrison, then it goes to Chris Shepherd. Shepherd did run at Steve Carter. O'Neill, now to Morrison, inside to Robert Relf. Taken to ground by Gall and Sattler. Back again to the short side. That's the side that Steve Carter is on. And you're right, Russell, that's the player. You can see Carter, who hasn't had a good year in defence. He's missed a lot of tackles. They know he's wounded. That's where they're aiming the defence. Jamie McDonald is tackled. Back they go towards Carter's side again. Kicked through by Nabel into the in goal. Taken there by Beckett, who scrambles back into the field of play. And a penalty. Penalty against the defence of Josh Hannay. And that allows the pressure right off Penrith. They'll get a penalty on their own line. Just going into the tackle late, rules Steve Carter. And the penalty which Rodwell kicks for touch. Out towards the eastern side and finds it. 20 out from their own line. 24-12. Penrith lead North Queensland. You're watching this battle the first time that the NRL have come to Cairns. You're watching it and all of the NRL action on Fox Sports. Cross. Put to ground on number 3 by Robert Ralph. Here's Gower again from dummy half to Frank Pulatua, back off the interchange bench for the Panthers. And dropped out of dummy half by Craig Gower. I said earlier, you probably won't see him do that again for the rest of the season. Knock on in that position. He's made a liar of me. Done it twice for the night.
Well, I think this came from some really great defence. This was probably the Cowboys' best defensive set of 6 we've seen. Gower, they knew he was going to go from dummy half. They were ready to pick him up. I'm sure they would have been calling his name. Watch for Gower, watch for Gower. They put him off his game just a fraction. Calls to turnover. The Cowboys, they certainly need to score the next points. If they can do that, they're half a chance to get back into this game. But if they don't score, it is all over.
O'Neill almost through and then gave a pass in desperation, hoping that Paul Bowman was there to pick it up from him. Bowman was there but couldn't take it. Neither could Lee Odenryan. So 24-12 it is as we come into the last quarter of this game. Ryan Girdler. 33 metres out. Straight ahead goes Ned Caddick. His first fray into this game off the interchange bench. Gower from dummy half uses the little kick again. Was a player taken out. Driving back forward is Lee Odenryan. Referee says no penalty going the way of Penrith. A couple of their players just pleading to the referee that they were impeded. Paul Bowman. No way through there from Bowman with big Frank Pulatua over the top and Caddick going underneath. On the 4th tackle and only 10 metres out from their own line now, the Cowboys. O'Neill back across field. No way through there again and lose the ball. Good defence by Penrith. Just keeping the pressure on, and the Cowboys had no reply. They were under pressure, nowhere to go, forced the error, and this is in absolutely ideal position. 10 metres out, and they can attack to either side from centre field.
And that was coming 2 rucks ago. They were trying to take the ball from their own line after, I think Odenryan dived on it around about a metre out. They should have been looking for runners to hit the ball up. They went from dummy half twice. Neither of them made any territory. It was simply shift the ball and hope that somebody was going to take it.
Beckett coming back in field off a Girdler pass. Knocked to ground in the tackle of Robert Ralph. Still only a few metres out from the line. Greenhill tries to burrow his way through Craig Greenhill and is held on to. Under the shadows of the goal mouth, he plays the ball and away from Rodwell. Rodwell tries to go himself. 3 tackles gone. Gower again, scampers back in field, says to Pulatua, you go forward, through Rodwell, then back to Sattler. Sattler put to ground. 4 tackles gone. To the short side, to John Cross. Held on to in the last coming up. What'll Gower do from dummy half? Elects to pass. In fact, he doesn't have to. Ruling against Penrith. Losing the ball on the last tackle. Let's see what happened. Well, the ball just dropped to ground and not played correctly by John Cross. In fact, he's put a scrum down. You would think under that situation, would almost say that's got to be a penalty if you haven't played the ball correctly. As has Bill Harrigan, given quite a few penalties for exactly that offence during the season. Here's Morrison. Out wide to Bradford. Taron Bradford tackled. 12 out from his own line. And again, they have trouble bringing it out from their own territory. That's a better run by Josh Hannay as John Buttigieg comes to the sideline. Here's Morrison. Morrison trying to get through. Bradford running the pass off Morrison. The young fellow is put over by Cross. Almost up to halfway. Now starting to open it up a little bit more to Julian O'Neill. O'Neill giving his pass. Taken by Shipway and he'll be tackled. To his feet, Mark Shipway, and plays the ball. Infield from Musprat, who's just come off the interchange bench. An awful kick that was immediately picked up by Craig Greenhill. That was just a terrible kick by the Cowboys. And quickly the Panthers go back on the attack. Only 30 metres out from scoring, 2 tackles gone. Here goes Pulatua straight ahead. Inside the 20. Ned Caddick struggles to his feet and plays the ball. From Gower, through Rodwell to Carter, run around with Rodwell. Bad pass. Went to ground, but was immediately cleaned up by Scott Sattler. Again, they attack down the short side. And the kick, which goes on the full, touch in goal. So back out to the 20 for the optional restart by the Cowboys. Steve Carter, he really is in the wars, the Penrith skipper. He is doing it tough.
Well, I think Roy Simmons has got to decide to take him off. Carter, no doubt, will be telling the trainers that he's okay. A big shoulder coming in. Well, put him in Disneyland. I don't think the ribs are feeling it too much anymore. He'll be dreaming and looking at the stars that are above. But I think Royce has probably got to give his mate a little bit of a rest. Carter reminding his opponent, I saw that. Just expect one when you're not looking next time it comes around. A very experienced player. He's as hard as a nut. And there has been a little bit of a report come in from a touch judge as well. Oh, I think somebody's been watching the video screen because it wasn't called early.
I tell you what, he might be in the war, Steve Carter, but it still doesn't stop him giving his opposition plenty. He lets them know what's going on around the place.
Well, this might be the penalty that just wraps it up for them. This will take them past the converted 2 tries that Wally spoke about. And they know then that they're going to have to really do it tough. Simple penalty, and it could very well decide the match.
Well, I've got to say that obviously it deserved a penalty, but the thing that surprised me was that the ball went over the line. Nothing was called. They decided to come back. They went to treat Carter. Still nothing was going on, and all of a sudden, after it had gone up on the video screen, someone ran in. Anyway, it was an illegal thing, deserved a penalty. This will be the 2 points, I think, that could well and truly break the back of the Cowboys.
Kick by Ryan Girdler is there. Girdler adds the extra 2 points, and Penrith lead North Queensland by 26-16. 14 minutes remaining in this match in Cairns. The Panthers in front, 26-16. And Julian O'Neill bringing it back for the restart. Sorry, did we say 26-16? 26-12 as Julian O'Neill brings it back for the restart. Wesser gives it to Sid Domick. Domick brings it out from his own line. This is Scott Sattler. Didn't expect to have to take that hit up. Was looking for the runner coming straight, and there was no one there. So Sattler did it himself. This fella knows only one way, and that is straight, and that's Frank Pulatua. 26-12 in favour of Penrith over the Cowboys. Caddick able to scramble another 5 or 6 metres. Once more to Sid Domick. Tackled on number 5 by Musprat. On the last, the deep kick. Dropping back for it is the speedy Lee Odenryan. Almost back to his own line to take it, Odenryan. Julian O'Neill in to be the dummy half. Taron Bradford. In from the right wing for that hit up. Peter Jones. Tough tackle on Jones from Craig Gower. It's Buttigieg on for the Cowboys. Nabel off, while for the Panthers, Rodwell gets a break and Justin Holbrook is on. Odin Ryan. Ball knocked backwards. Robert Relf can't get it. Loose on the ground. It'll be dived on by the Panthers. Cross has this one, and they're only 10 metres out from the line. Now to Domick. Sid Domick back towards the short side. He goes, Domick. Caught and put to ground in the tackle of Robert Relf. Only centimetres from the line is where Domick will play it. Wide pass, and again going wide from Carter inside to Reece Wesser. Pulatua. Bumping through tackles goes Frank Pulatua. Quick play the ball. Gower from dummy half. Gives a wide pass to Chris Hicks. Taken out the corner post.
Well, I think he's got there, John.
Ooh, I think he's got his knee out.
Yeah, I think the knee may have just fractionally touched the white line before the ball has actually been grounded. There.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm going to say,
well, do they favour the attacking side? If it's so touch and go, do they favour the attacking side?
the Cowboys are their own worst enemy. They should have seen that coming from dummy half. They've had the quick run from dummy half and set him up. And yeah. I think that's. I think the red light's going to come up.
The bonus of a slow motion replay.
It'll be a big chase for the Panthers to get back into position, let me tell you. They think it's a try.
Just watch the expression, the bottom right hand part of your screen. Hicks, whether he believes he's been denied a certainty. Well, I don't think there's too much of a complaint there.
Only a boarding house scraper butter in it, but referee Peter Filmer says that he did touch the line. No try. So the scrum will pack just 10 metres out from the Cowboys line. 26-12 in favour of Penrith. The Panthers very slow to get up to form this scrum. They'll just let the clock go down as much as they possibly can before they have to play any more football. Musprat into dummy half from Hannay onto Bowman. Slung to ground by Carter over the top. Girdler going low. McDonald. Another tough hit on McDonald by Pulatua. Unloaded well to Morrison. Morrison does well to pop it up to Nathan Feen. Musprat. And a penalty goes the way of the Cowboys against the Penrith defence.
Well, you try and run the clock down and you switch off, and that's just what Penrith's done this last set of 6. Cowboys have carted at something like 55 yards and got a penalty at the end of it, so they'll be right on attack. And there still is plenty of time, just on 10 minutes left.
The kick by O'Neill will see this set of 6 for the Cowboys start up inside the 20. Here's Feen. Flat pass which went to Jamie McDonald. Buttigieg. Comes straight, John Buttigieg. Only 3 metres out from the line. Musprat runs up to be the acting half. His pass across field to Morrison. Glenn Morrison for the line and over. Saw the gap, Morrison. Musprat's pass to him. Just with the right time, he had the momentum, he saw the gap and was able to scramble through and score. 26-16, so they're not going to throw in the towel, the Cowboys. 10 points behind, kick the count.
And once more, the value of a set play becoming evident for the North Queensland Cowboys. Very clever ruck play run. And have a look who they aimed it at. Steve Carter. As much value as he is for his communication on the field, Russ, I think you've got to say that he is a bit suspect at the moment. He's certainly trying his heart out, but he's not a real fit man. But clever work, they ran that well.
Yeah, Glenn Morrison's having a marvellous game. He was their best player last week in the loss, and he has been their standout tonight. his third try for the year. Couldn't have come at a more opportune time for the Cowboys. If Julian can put this one over. We've got a fine 8 or 9 minutes left.
And there. He's kicked well tonight, Julian O'Neill. 26 points to 18 in favour of Penrith. With 8 minutes remaining. And the Panthers just very slow to go back, and Steve Clark, the referee, hasn't taken time off.
I think Girdler will be very careful with the hang time on this one. Won't be worrying about it too much, but it'll be interesting to see just how quickly the Cowboys play this. Do they attack from around the ruck and risk Penrith picking them off from marker, or they chance their arm and throw it wide? They really don't have any other option.
Fiend's pass to Buttigieg, coming back on an angle. He runs at Pulatua and Domic and is put over. Fiend again, wide to Glenn Morrison.
Well, Wally, I think you go to your strength. I think you go to Morrison. I think you go to Josh Hannay. They're the two big ball runners. They're the guys they should be looking at just wide of the ruck, so they get away from the good defensive set of the Penrith forwards. That's where the holes, I think, are.
Once more, they're going to go wide. Jamie McDonald out wide, but this one goes away to Ralph and then to O'Neill. Julian O'Neill. They swarm on him, knowing what a dangerous player he is and how he can get a pass away. On the last, the kick being chased by Leodin Ryan, and he almost got it. Pass has gone to ground. Now, a lot of the crowd wanting a penalty, saying that he was interfered with before he got the ball. Steve Clark rules that he had got his hands to it. Let's have a look. This will be an interesting one. Yep, well, he'd gone for the ball, he touched the ball, and the Penrith players are then entitled to make the tackle. Correct ruling by Steve Clark. But had he got it, it would have been touch and go, because he is quickly Leodin Ryan and not much to beat. Gower picking up the runner in Sid Domic. A few metres short of halfway. Domic plays the ball back to Gower. And lost the ball and lost it cold. So a few mistakes in his game tonight, Craig Gower. He's done a lot of good things. He's made a lot of ground out of dummy half. And there have been a few errors as well, and pretty slow to get to his feet after losing that ball, Craig Gower.
Yeah, they got a good shot on him. He took off. Two of the bigger boys in the pack as well. And you can just see, I think, the first contact, the first tackle. That's where the damage was done. The bump came in to dislodge the ball.
Big John Buttigieg. Well, they might win the game, Penrith, but there'll be a couple of players will be having the imprint of Jay Buttigieg on them tomorrow morning. Steve Carter and Craig Gower, to name but two. Robert Ralph. Fiend back on the inside and lost. Once more, the chance was there, but the chance goes begging, and Steve Carter runs back at McDonald and is cleaned up by him. To his feet, Steve Carter, to give him his credit. Here's Reece Wesser.
Hands out of there, Nathan.
Woods from dummy half loses his footing, David Woods. Craig Gower. Gower tackle front on by Robert Ralph. He'll be pleased to see full time tonight, Steve Carter. Not only because they've got their first win of the season, but it's been a tough 80 minutes for him. Here's Pulatua. On the last now, the Penrith Panthers. Holbrook just down the short side and stabs that kick into touch. It finds it just a couple of metres into the field of play.
Doesn't do a lot to excite the crowd here in Cairns, but will make their coach feel pretty happy. He's followed the game plan to the letter. Just run the clock down as much as they possibly can. They haven't got to do anything too exciting. Just make sure that their defence is in good control. Two or three players that Russell Fairfax mentioned, they appear to be the only ones likely to break the line. Nathan Fiend is the only other one I could probably throw in, but they've got to run the ball wide and use their angles.
That's what they do this time. Back to Julian O'Neill, getting into a little bit of open space inside to Leodin Ryan, trying to get away from Cross. John Cross clings on to the Cowboys winger, who loses the ball as he gets to his feet to play it. Knocked on by Leo and Ryan. So a chance for the Panthers to really put this game away. I think it's pretty safely in their keeping at the moment, leading by 8 points. But this scrum will be just 20 metres out from the Cowboys line.
It's fine properly, fellas. Just hold it there. Keep it in, Julian, thanks.
Justin Holbrook to work the scrum for the Panthers. Holbrook tries to run himself. Peter Jones getting out quickly to make the tackle on him. Domick running it at Hannay. He's 5 metres from the line, Sid Domick. Gower looks for a runner, and that runner is Scott Sattler. On the third, Sattler plays the ball for Penrith. Whipped across field. 4 tackles gone. Holbrook almost through Justin Holbrook. 5 gone, here's the last. Gower puts it into the in goal, tries to get through himself. It's going to be, in fact, dived on by Steve Carter. Carter feels he's got the ball down for a fair try.
Kick going in. There's no problem there with that whatsoever. If anything, it could have been a penalty against the Cowboys. Doing his best.
The only other player who could have scored it was Craig Gower himself, and he was impeded trying to get through. And Steve Carter, as you can see, coming from deep there, no one else around, gets the ball down without any problem, and that's a fair try to Steve Carter, so that'll make you feel a little happier. To end the night with a try and make sure of their first win of the season. Not much problem with that. Steve Carter and the Penrith players are happy with the result. Peter Filmer to make his decision, the video referee.
And some long faces in the Cowboys camp. Naturally, that's going to happen. They thought they had a couple of opportunities to get back in the game, but to their credit, the Panthers, every time that the Cowboys looked like getting back on their feet, just seemed to be able to produce something. And what was the good part about it was that they did it fairly quickly. They didn't muck around. I think their killer instinct that they've shown here tonight, Royce has been waiting for it to come. It's come via their skipper, who's got every injury in the book to his name so far, but has stayed out there. The most important job that he did for them was that he steered them around in that second half. They lacked a lot of direction just after the break. He gave it back to them. There's real value being shown throughout this second 40-minute period.
It's a fairly easy attempted conversion for Ryan Girdler to take us almost to full time. There by Girdler. And 32-18. Penrith lead North Queensland. Neither of these sides really with much interest in wanting to get this game started again as we come inside the last 30 seconds.
As the Cowboys get the set restart, I can tell you the deal behind Penrith's win is they've missed 18 tackles today. Cowboys have missed 31. That's in a nutshell.
So O'Neill just gets the game underway for the last few seconds. Wesser gives it away to Sid Domick.
Back here, Cowboys.
Domick taken to ground, will play it. Steve Carter, probably fittingly, will get the last touch of the game and is put to ground by Musprat. The old Warrior gets to his feet, says, thank goodness for that. Probably never been happier to hear the bell, Steve Carter. But they've got the points tonight, winning by 32-18. Their first win of the season for the Penrith Panthers. They'll be pleased. Full-time score here in Cairns. Penrith defeating the North Queensland Cowboys by 32-18.